What is this? What is this? Who knew? Oh, no, 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 no. Who knew? What is all of this? Who knew? But it's what you believe. Oh, the green and the blue. Oh, thank goodness. Evolutionary history of plants. It can't just be evolution of plants, right? Which is what I searched. But of course, the evolutionary history, everyone! Yay! Yes. Yes, I can't wait to get the volumes upon volumes of encyclopedias telling me and bashing me with little pictures and little diagrams of how one just became the other. Amazing! Yes! Amazing. All because evolutionary history of life, right? This this page, right? This information, right? This apparent knowledge that you say is power, right? This knowledge apparently goes along with this bash. The evolutionary history of life on Earth, right? Not life, just life on Earth. Because again, you believe in tiny little other little Gaias or big Gaias just out there smashing with potentially life on it too. Because you call life apparently the bash things that you see that move around and somehow are green, and you chain yourself to them when you say, "Oh, they're being cut down." Stop cutting down the trees. We can make all sorts of things similar to what it is that you use the cutting down for, but somehow we don't. Wow, amazing. So you're in constant just bashhood, in conflict, contrast, contradiction, right? Just blasted, split, right? You don't know what you're fighting for, but you sure do boast how much you know what you're fighting for. And you just pick apparent sides that you think are somehow the little guy that needs to just be spoken for. Aw. Yet you abuse relentlessly and you let yourself be abused. Namely with things called evolutionary history of plants. Wow! The evolution of plants has resulted in a wide range of complexity. Whoa. Who knew that you look around, right? You look around, you walk out your front door, your back door, whoever bash you are. You walk to some place out, right? Not inside where you have all your bash walls and your bash pictures and your bash mirrors, but you go somewhere where you can see dirt, for example. You look at dirt, right? And you're like, wow, there's so much bacteria in that dirt necessary for all plants to live and feed off. Wow. Right? And you say, yeah, you gotta build up the soil and turn it into this amazing just petri dish for plants. Yes. Right? Wow. So somehow plants need already living things on the soil, right? And who knows how deep it goes, right? It's just there, right? But apparently, it all began in some ocean, in the primordial waters of the ocean. That's just smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed and smashed, and apparently made some one little bash cell. Or was it billions and billions of cells that just automatically just got snapped by the same lightning bolt, and it all just knew what to do, all of it, and just made billions of little cells, and then they were just given the opportunity to smash each other even more and say, yes, we will turn into all sorts of things. Yes, right? Just like when the first cell, is divided, right? In apparent, the embryonic development. Oh, oh, right? When the sperm enters the egg, whoa, what happens? And then it just divides. It splits. And you say, oh, it's because DNA, dummy. Obviously, the little things inside know what to do because of DNA, dummy. Right? And somehow it all begins with some spark, right? Now they post and they say, well, watch the spark happen when the sperm enters the egg and pop, spark, right? And all this stuff. And you're like, oh, those are just chemicals. It's lumin- luminescence. Luminescence. Yes, it's luminescence. Luminescence. Well, shouldn't you boast because you worship the light? Of course, you give it all bash, swarm names. But of course, even then. So what? Just billions of little things just split in half and just started bashing, right? And then grew into whatever, right? They grew into just glob of stuff, and the glob just somehow had some, it had billions of years just being a glob and making it its own kind. Or did that one blob live for billions and billions of years? What? See, what's going on? How long did each phase take? Well, who knows? But we have an idea, and we're putting it forth, and this is what we call the history of plants. We have it's not an idea, it's some fantasy, right? Because you look outside and look at all the diversity and complexity apparently to this, right? It's astounding. The 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 connections, the interconnection is all of them work together perfectly. And you say, and without one, you take one thing from the ecosystem and affects and blah blah blah. That's why when we clear cut affects all sorts of things and blah blah blah. So we introduce predatory period. We introduce the wolf, and look what happened and blah 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 blah. Right. So you remove one bash animal, and apparently just destroys everything. Apparently, right? According to the how the animals relate. Right. So even now in modernity, you can look at that and say, whoa, right? Or in your stomach, in your gut, something bacterial, something it's just not right, blah blah blah, or your intestine, and you feel it immediately, blah, you purge, whatever, and all of a sudden you're back. But it's just this what? So apparently it everything just knew what it was instantly. It knew what it was, and knew what it was doing, and it knew what it was going to be, and bashed and bashed and diversified itself. And you say, no, 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 it's survival of the fittest. You know, survival of the fittest, right? Traits get passed, pushed forward, right? That somehow are in benefit for the reproduction or some, survival attribute, right? So all the diversity you see around, it was all for survival, right? The intricacies and this and that and all the multiplicities of mutualisms and isms that they have determined in biology to mean. Yet, somehow, the evolutionary history of life is just a bunch of bash bones that kind of, well, you can see that there's look similar. So therefore, it must mean we come from that bash thing. Wow, what a shame. What a shame. And of course, what? Plants came from the ocean, right? Plants came from the ocean, right? So did the other bacteria, the cyanobacteria, colonize before? And you say, well, obviously, because of course that's and all these other the protozoa and bosh, and that's why you got bacteria. And just when the conditions were right, then the plants evolved and came to the earth, came on earth, abandoned the waters, right? Just like the bash, fish coming onto the land. The same bash, right? So same bash. So the fish came onto the land, and of course there was already food there, right? You're like, well, of course, plant life evolved before animals. Dummy. Oh, right. And exactly, you can't you rely on millions and billions of years. You don't even know what that means, and you're like, well, yeah, I do because that just means we're just a sliver. We're just a little microscopic line on the chronology timeline of existence from the Big Bang. And you're like, that's why we mean nothing, right? That's another excuse you use to say, well, we're just bashed and we're just trying to figure it out. Wow, what a shame. When you can see clearly the fine-tunedness of it all. But no. It just has to be that we came from these teeny tiny things and somehow just bash through family trees and lineages and families and bash. Right? Amazing. Right? From the earliest algal mats through multicellular marine and freshwater green algae, terrestrial bryophytes, lycopods, and ferns, to the complex gymnosperms and angiosperms of today. While many of the earliest groups continue to thrive, as exemplified by red and green algae in marine environments, more recently derived groups have displaced previously ecologically dominant ones. Example, the ascendance of flowering plants over gymnosperms in terrestrial environments. Right? Exactly. So what, even just the method, the deployment, right? Spores, seeds, the diversity in seeds. Some fly, some get digested by animals, and they require that digestion by animals in order to begin its exactly germination. So what does it mean? What does it even mean? You don't know. You're like, well, that's an example of mutualism. That's how it evolved. And biz, pops, this, blah. Exactly. You hide behind names. Relentless swarm names. And you're like, yeah, of course. It's just so complex. We must relentlessly study slides and bash our eyes with light and just draw them and just study them and dye them with different kinds of dyes so we can just say, look, the green and the blue. See, silly? Of course. Look at them. Look how little teeny tiny things, and we have geometry everywhere. Wow. Look, it's the Mercedes-Benz symbol. Oh, yeah. We see, everybody just bashed. There is evidence that cyanobacteria and multicellular photosynthetic eukaryotes lived in freshwater communities on land as early as 1 billion years ago, right? There is evidence. There is evidence. There is evidence. Amazing. There's evidence. The little teeny tiny little things were around 1 billion years ago. Wow, who knew? So that somehow means we come from that. Amazing! At least plants do, but it's part of the same bash, right? So, wow, 1 billion years, and that communities of complex multicellular photosynthesizing organisms existed on land in the late Precambrian around 850 million years ago. So everyone, it took 150 million years to get to this, right? The multicellularization of photosynthesizing organisms. Amazing. Evidence of the emergence of embryophyte land plants first occurs in the mid-Ordovician. Oh, thank you for the Ordovician. And by the middle of the Devonian. Oh, yes, even better. The Devonian, roughly 390 million years. Right, for those of you who believe that the mysticism of the East, was around, and people are 300 million, they're millions and millions and millions and years old, and they're like, oh, wow, Wow, no wonders. They're the illuminators. They're the illuminated ones, and that's why I'm gonna huff and puff and do things with my body and contort it and this and that, right? All thinking that it's you doing all the transcendence and this and union with your body and telling yourself how amazing the body is and how it responds to you and this and that and this and that and this and this and that, right? And then you use that to say, yes, this is life, my endurance of the flesh while it stretch and huff and puff. And you say, wow, it just continues on my daily life because I know I'm in control. I mean, I know I'm one with baby little Buddha. And I know I'm making all the right choices because I'm so brainwashed. Exactly. But you don't say brainwashed. You say, I'm so enlightened. I'm so enlightened, right? I'm just at peace with the bliss. I just drink my green smoothies relentlessly every day. And then stretch and huff and puff and just go in and out in dog position upon the other and all the others and amazing. Thank goodness for the late Devonian. Oh, because free sporing plants such as Ergopetrus had secondary vascular tissue. Yes! That produced wood and had formed forests of tall trees. Wow! It did all that. Who knew? Oh, this Archaeopteryx. Oh, thank you. Right, because we found it in some Bash sandstone, right? Whoa, it looks like a feather or it looks like some sort of leaf. So, yes, it's a leaf. And it tells us its name and it tells us what it had. And so, therefore, it came about around that time. Amazing. Could it be that it's just some bash rock with whatever patterns and you say fractal, 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 and you say, oh no, 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 this is no fractal. This is clearly a leaf fossilized in some bash sandstone volcanic rock bash, right? Amazing. And they're so hard to find, but this one we found, and this one we found, it somehow means that it was all around and everywhere. And you say, well, yeah, of course we found other samples and this and that, and the dating on them is perfect every time. There's no discrepancy, and there's no reason for you to believe that it's a fraud. No, no, no. We're so precise and so precise every time. Then why is it roughly? Why do you use all these little squiggly lines and say approximately? If you're so certain, right? This is the history. The history of plant evolution, plant life, right? So it's still no, it's still approximate because guys, we weren't there, so we just approximate that it was around there because of we can't this and that and this and that and this bashed. So in little stupid little things like this, and then you say, okay, it's that makes sense. Amazing. And just because one's older and it keeps getting closer, you're like, okay, yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. It's amazing that they even had it close to that year, right? Amazing. Yes, yes, of course. It's so amazing. Also, by late Dovinian, Alkinesia, the alchemist was already seated in the fern. the Ilkin, the Ilkinsia, an early seed fern had evolved seeds. Wow, it evolved. It just evolved seeds. So just because you found a bash thing with the hats, apparently, well, it clearly has the patterns of a seed. So therefore, this one has seeds. Wow, okay. Seeds had evolved by then. Yes! Amazing! So seeds just kind of happen. Seeds just kind of happen, right? Before, it was just the algae, and they were doing their bash. And then the seed just. So how does the seed even evolve. And the seed firm, because the non-seed fern already was there, and it was just sporing and sporing, but this one had seeds. Oh, amazing! Is that what's going on? Who knows? But it's amazing. Evolutionary innovation continued, right? Because evolution just innovates. I thought evolution was survival of the fittest. But now apparently evolution innovates, and it's just smashing, having relentless board meetings saying, okay, guys, which one's the best idea from here? All right, who goes first? Empty room, nobody there, because it's not real. But somehow it's real. Somehow it's real because you say it's real, and you believe in these bash trees and figures that say, this. Just go follow the little line that said seed plants and pods go down and it's ferns and all these other patch names and the club mosses. Wow. And then there was vascular plants and it keep going down the abyss and there's hornwoods, mosses, limeworts, and bash. Exactly. You're categorizing your split and then complaining why, you're just lost. So lost. You're lost in your own knowledge that you say is power. Wow, exactly. You're just tripping, relentlessly lost, going through doors out the other, but all thinking you have certainty. There's no certainty in this. This is just bashhood. Look at it. Just because you can memorize bash little names that other people gave these things and, whoa, and put little trees because, whoa, they kind of look like the same and blah, 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 blah. But no. No. And just because you can look at the most simplest of all the plants and say, well, that's the most simplest, but, it's this or that or this. And it all goes down to the cyanobacteria and the biflagellate protozoan. Biflagellate. Biflagellate, right? Has two little swimmers that just kick around and kick. Amazing. What's going on? And this plus this apparently gave plants. Amazing. Amazing. Because they're innovation. Wow, it's innovation. Who knew that that's what you're bashed with and saying, yes, be innovative and take us to the next bashhood that will just send us through the sun and return to our galactic Gaia buddies. What a shame. Who cares? Look at this all. The grasses, as well as many other groups, evolved new mechanisms of metabolism. They just evolved. They just developed and had relentless boardroom meetings and said, okay, action. We need an action committee for this. Best bash. Let's see how we can harvest the sun. And then they all went down and innovated and just smashed us out and just aborted relentless others because they just weren't right. But still, the agenda was to harness the sun, right? So somehow it knew to just harvest the sun, bash, and it just was going to go bash. And all its attempts that didn't succeed just were abortions. But then, wow, doesn't that mean that they died, they bashed, and you say, no, the others bashed that still lived for billions of years before kept living. And it's just the other ones that did that, and they diversified and split from the tree, and that's how these other ones, blah, 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 blah. No, because you have a split, then what is that split mate with? Or how does that, it just mates with itself and does its own thing. Right. But clearly only things do that and others don't. So all of a sudden, it knew how to do it then and it knew how to stop. It knew how to stop because situations were just favorable and they just decided to not innovate anymore. Huh. It just knows. Apparently, life just knows what to do. Apparently, but no, it's just an accident and it's just smashed together. until it came to an order that somehow gave it some bash accuracy somehow. But no, it just it wasn't accurate. It was just accurate sometimes, and no, it had to be accurate 100% every time in order for it to work or not. Anything else would fail, and according to your bash evolutionary theory of the survival of the fittest, and all because to increase success rate of birthing, about and mating, and this and that and that and that and this and that and that. Whoa, you're just bashed. Exactly. It has to be right the whole way through. Otherwise, guess what? No life on Earth. It just died, right? So, can you imagine just the light bulb that just stir up the primordial pot, and all of a sudden, one little teeny little cell makes it, and then all of a sudden it goes online and dies. So, wow. So, I mean, well, how does it avoid from it dying? From one phase to the other. How does it prevent from dying? Right? Oh, it just knows. It just knows what to do and what to stay away from, and this and that. And you saying, no, no, no. All you see around was just here put by accident. It just all accidentally came to be, and it just knew exactly what to do and how it was going to help its other, plants and this and that, and it just all worked together. And one evolved first, and then it became two, and then those two lived forever, and then all of a sudden they said, let's make a third. And so three were there, and then four and five and six and seven. And apparently they just all just smashed together and kept adding. It kept adding. And apparently there's still species being, found and all this. Apparently you say, whoa, even though we're relentlessly killing them, new ones are popping up and this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that. Right? Wow. It couldn't be that life brings forth relentlessly. It couldn't be, right? No, it just has to be evolution. From the one little teeny tiny thing that just bashed with another little teeny tiny thing. So how did that little teeny tiny thing come to be, and how did this little teeny come to be, and why did they say, wow, let's get together? Oh, it's because it's just kumbaya and just hold hands, and they just wanted to hold hands. Why do they want to hold hands? Do they know it's all kumbaya and just one love, one world? So if they knew all then, right? That means that means what? What do they know? What to follow, right? So even in your bash, evolution theory, you say, yeah, of course they know how to follow their survival. No. No. If you think everything that you see around would just is the result of just surviving, you're bashed. You are bashed. And there's nothing anyone can do. But just to love you, because who knew that is the way of creation, the Father's creation, the Creator's creation. Whoa, 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 whoa. Who knew? Who knew all this? Who knew plants were created? Who knew life as you know it, right? And you call it life on earth. Who knew exactly that way that you believe life was created? Which it has nothing to do with your bash terminology or definition of life on earth as you know it. For that to you just means this. And hopefully you can go to some other bash planet and find this. And it will just give you so much to boast about. Amazing. So, colonization, blah, blah, blah. Evolution of life cycles. Oh, yeah. Evolution of plant anatomy. And right? Because all of this exists only if you believe that somehow all the plant anatomy that you see around just happened, right? Because somehow its previous ancestor, just had an accident and adapted somehow, and just it was preferable to look that way and this, and then eventually grew more, and morphed relentlessly, shape shifted, It shapeshifted relentlessly, shapeshifted. So no, right? Because you don't see that in plants today. They don't relentlessly shapeshift. No, they might adopt a little bit, but a plant's still a plant. And a plant, of its kind is still a plant of its kind. Wow, who knew? And sure, you can hybridize in this if you wanted to, but that means nothing. That's manipulation, adding and subtracting and trying to come up with some new Bash creation, some new morphology, right? Create a new image of something that is living. Because all of this is life, okay? Life. Who knew? It doesn't matter what you bash call it, or the category, the root. Exactly. Wow, the root, the leaves, tree form, seeds, flowers, right? And you say, well, yeah, of course, it just all comes from a very simple algae. Don't you know, dummy? So it's just like looking at the embryo and the stages of the embryo and saying, wow, it's just we come from, and just to look at the images that it reminds you of when you look at it and say, whoa. And then say trees come from that stage and that stage, and the seeds came from this stage and that stage and that stage. But it's all life, you fool. What? Okay, even in the embryo, as its stages of development, it's still life. Wow, who knew? And the seed, all its stages of development, wow, who knew it's still life? And not because it's biological and so therefore you call it life. No. What is life? The earth brings life forth relentlessly. Isn't it what you witness in the flesh? Isn't it what it is to recognize the vapor that you are in the snapshot that you call, oh, what, you're born and then you're dead, right? But what is it that you're living? Oh, you don't know. You don't know, but you say, I didn't ask for it, so that's why I'm just going to be angry my whole life and just smash and smash and smash. Smashed. Exactly. For the leaves, the root, right? You think of the root. What? Even if you're bash little algae, and all of a sudden you have this little, shoot that comes out, and then somehow it's not favorable, but somehow it is favorable, right? What is it? And you're like roots works a foothold, like the algae that grab onto rock, right? So somehow that turned into something that sucks water up and knows how to grow and knows when to stop and knows how to find water, and it knows all these other things and secretes all these hormones and this and that, and then pushes up, and then it sends the nutrients up and this, and then it just exchanges and everything and just perfect. And you say, well, of course it had to be a very simple root to begin with, and then it got more complex. No, a root is a root, you bash. So how does the root just have all these intermediary things and this and that? Or the seeds, right? Or the flower. Well, the flower is just some accident and somehow was favorable in the situations of this and that. And somehow, now just insects and bees are the main pollinators. So somehow back then, who knew what was the main pollinator? But maybe bees were still around or some other insect and this and that did the exact same thing as a bee, but now it's the bee because the bee killed it all out, and just now the bee is just amazing. And all these other things, and bash, 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 bash. Right? Origins of the flower. Whoa, who knew? Evolution of the Mads Box family. flowering time, right? Oh, because it knows exactly when to flower because of the sun and all the stages of bash, bash, bash. Oh, relentless, right? Evolution of photosynthetic pathways. Right, right. All these pathways that are just bashing to memorize, right? And this and the ADP and ATP and bash, 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 and you love it, love it, love it, love it. And the carbon cycle, and wow, it's just so amazing. The light and dark photosynthesis, and you can't get enough of it. And it's just amazing, and it all evolved, guys. It just all evolved. Don't worry, it's very complex and laborsome to study it, but don't worry, that's what happened. Okay, you can just spend your whole lifetime and get doctorates and then just boast of how much you love this, and then you teach it because you just love it and you just love it so so much. What does it mean? It means you're bashed. It means you believe in millions of billions of trillions of Harry Potter number years, and you trust. You have to trust that your little theory happened in all that time. Wow. Because somehow you look around and it's just so fine tuned, so amazing, such a masterpiece that somehow your little bash, relentless lifetimes of books and books and books just is has attempted to describe it and did a pretty good job of counterfeiting a story for you, cooking up a story for you that you would just, by repetition, just come to accept without question. Without question. All because it's given to you by some bash earthly authority that says, yup, this is fact. This is the most popular, most widely accepted theory of evolution. Because it's clearly a theory. And you say, okay, well, I agree. It's very fine tuned and it's and that. That's why it had to be aliens. Right? Panspermia and all this bash, or some bash cells that already were in some meteorite that came here and they just came and expanded. Right? It's the embryonic cell, right? To you. Or just the undifferentiated cell, the stem cell. And then it just stabbed its way bash into all the organs that you see in your body if you cut and slice and dice yourself. And it just knows what to do and what organ to develop into, and it's amazing. All because of the DNA, right, guys? Yo, yeah, the DNA. 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 Oh. Because, fine, you say, well, of course, cyanobacteria had DNA. And it just got so complex, right? Because look, what is all this? Right? Transcription factors and transcriptional regulatory networks play key roles in plant development. They couldn't wait. And stress responses of plants today, as you can study them and relentlessly shock them and slice and dice them and dye them and put them under microscopes and this and this and that and that and this and this and that and that. And then, but they can't wait to say, as well as their evolution. Right? Because just because you could study the living embryo of a human or of an animal or whatever, or the developmental stages of plants right today in the flesh, all of a sudden you just fantasize a blast of how it evolved based on its development, right? And how it functions under stress. So you put it under stress and somehow you can adapt. Right? And this and that and this and this and that and that and this and that, as well as their evolution. During plant landing, many novel transcription factor families emerged. Factor families, the fear factor, right? But novel transcription factor. So Who knew they were just in fear factor and then they had to just survive? Otherwise, they wouldn't get the $10,000. Aw. And are preferentially wired into the networks of multicellular development. Wow. Wow. Right? Reproduction and organ development, contributing to more complex morphogenesis of plants on land. Oh, so that's how it evolved, right? Oh, because we could study it now and say, of course, and its evolution. Novel transcription factor families. Novel. So they were somehow novel, right? Just some bash mutation because the body relentlessly avoids mutations. Aren't I mean, in your DNA, isn't there so correction mechanisms in DNA so that it doesn't, so it avoids mutiny, mutations. But no. Apparently, it hadn't developed that, and it does now because it just knew how to stop and it said, "Okay, guys, we're just gonna blast, and no more changing. Otherwise, you get smashed." Oh wow, hilarious. So clearly, it was just an accident that made all of this somehow work such a great, in such a fine-tuned perfection that your bash, it's almost like you expect, wouldn't you expect the result of evolution be this like bashed car that's a clunker, that's basically just clunking around because it's just some bash accident. I mean, it would be something that was put together, but by no means would it be functional. It would just be something that provided its survival. Because what does that even mean, survival, right? To such amazing beauty and some amazing functionality, agility, ability to adapt, ability to withstand drought, withstand all sorts of crises on earth life, right, relentlessly. So no, somehow it just it just had a little pocket of information to kind of just steer itself here and there and there and this, and it was just so innovative at that time. It was fresh, it was new, it was bumping, it's bumping, and now it just got old. So now we're just the old bash thing, coming to its end. We're just too squeaky, right? Wow, lost. Secondary metabolites are essentially low molecular weight compounds, sometimes having complex structures that are not essentially for the normal process of growth, development, or reproduction. They function in processes as diverse as immunity, anti-herbivory, pollinator attraction, communication between plants, maintaining symbiotic associations with soil flora, or enhancing the rate of fertilization, and hence are significant from the Evo Devo perspective, right? Evolution versus the evolution of development, right? Developmental evolution. Secondary metabolites are structurally and functionally diverse, and it is estimated that hundreds of thousands of enzymes might be involved in the process of producing them, with about 15 to 25% of the genome coding for these enzymes, and every species having its unique arsenal of secondary metabolites. Many of these metabolites, such as salicylic acid, are of medical significance to humans. The purpose of producing so many secondary metabolites with a significant proportion of metabolome devoted to this activity is unclear, of course. Right? It's unclear. We don't know, but we know everything else. Wow, what a shame. It is postulated that most of these chemicals help in generating immunity. You mean it's unclear, meaning your Bash evolution theory can't explain it, but you say, oh, it's still unclear. We just haven't even come close to even getting an answer. Yeah, we're just gonna ignore it. It is postulated that most of these chemicals help generate immunity, and in consequence, the diversity of these metabolites in a result of constant arms race. God, they're in relentless arms race. Wow, what a shame. So how did they even know to get into an arms race, right? In their evolution. Why would that be beneficiary? Wouldn't that just be a relentless stress on the plant and this when it could just be growing? If it was in a stage of evolution, why would it favor and all of them, not just one, right? All of them, and even in human life, apparently they say up here these metabolites, secondary metabolites. Well, no. A central question involves the reproductive cost to maintaining such a large inventory of genes devoted to producing secondary metabolites. Various models have been suggested. Who knew? Various relentless attempts to come up with one that would stick. That probe into this aspect of the question, but a consensus on the extent of the cost has yet to be established, as it is still difficult to predict whether a plant with more secondary metabolites increases its survival, right? Because they wanted to link it to survival or not, or reproductive success compared to other plants in its vicinity. Because who knew it's not, right? It's not associated to these things. And they started with that. They said, "Oh, they're not that are not essential for normal, but they're just wow, they're just relentless." So why would that be? See, wow, it's just conundrum. It's who knows? So they blah blah blah. Although the role of the novel genome evolution in evolution, the second one is clear. What? So now it's clear. Although the role of novel gene evolution in the evolution of secondary metabolites is clear, there are several examples where new metabolites have been formed by small changes in the reaction. For example, cyanobacteria, cyanogen glycosides have been produced to have evolved multiple times in different plant lineages. There are several such instances of convergent evolution. Wow, so now a plant starts doing something that it didn't do. Wow, it's still the same plant. Who knew? For example, enzymes for synthesis of aluminum, blah, 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 blah. So who knew that your body could start producing a, well, it knows what to do, doesn't it? Constantly. Until it gets sick, or this, or that, and dies. Who knew? Coevolution of plants and fungal parasites. Look at all this. Of course. And they're just so interconnected. Oh, they co-evolved. Everything just co-evolved at the same time relentlessly, and it just all knew how to fit. They all knew its place. Otherwise, it wouldn't have evolved, or we wouldn't have the same common ancestor and blah blah. Or you say, no, there were relentless others, but we are the lineage that survived, and all the life you see around is that one. Wow, really? Weren't there multiple, genocides or multiple wipe-offs of life on Earth? Meteorites, right? Volcanoes, oh, right? Why couldn't it be your Bosch, Anunnakis that maybe did it? Why couldn't it be the aliens then, huh? To you? No, it was a meteorite then. And you can see the impact, right? In here and there and there and there. Wow, from some Bosch map. And even so, even if it is a meteorite, what caused it? No, you see a crater. So what caused it? A meteorite? You say, of course. And then, wow, it couldn't be some blast, from your aliens that you love so much. It couldn't be some blast. It couldn't be the Death Star just blasting down on Earth or this or that, right? No, 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 no. Of course not, dummy. It had to be some blast rock. And then that's why your relentless fear of some blast rock hitting you any given moment. right? Why couldn't it be Planet X that came by once and just smashed you with the Anunnaki? Nibiru, why couldn't it be Nibiru that just smashed you and just wiped out the life on Earth because they had seeded it first, but then it gave them the bash dinosaurs and they didn't care too much for that, so they just bashed it and just restarted again. And this and that and this and that and this. No, right? Because you believe it was meteorites or volcanoes and killed, but somehow life came about again. And you're like, amazing. And this and that and this and this and that. And even in your past story, right? Why were there kill offs and then all of a sudden they started up again? How did that happen? Shouldn't it take another billions and billions of years? And you say, nope. Amazing. You say because, it didn't kill everything. It killed 95% of all things. So the ones that lived then divided and split and split and split and split again and again and again and again to make you. Whoa. Amazing. Look. See? Look at all the teeny tiny little things that show you what it is and all the stages. And you say you can go outside and study the developmental stages of plants. And then say yes. And then they die and they go back. And the simplest one, just like saying the deep sea worm, right? The thermal vent worm is the most ancient thing, right? We come from something like that. Some worm in the ocean. That's the root guy. He's the root guy. He holds us all together. And all this bash and bash and bash, right? So there has to be the same for a plant. There had to be some poor, fantasy plant that just existed once and smashed. Because who knew they don't need a link, the missing link. They can just bash and say, well, these groups look together, they function similarly. These other groups, not quite, but somehow do something similar, so they come from that. Amazing. Oh, it's just never ending, right? Look, spores, right? Oh, how do they all work? I don't know, but they work. Amazing. But it's what you believe. And you say, oh, plants how they work? I don't know, but I can go and smash them. Whoa! I can go get a job where I cut grass relentlessly. I don't even give a damn. Or you can go and say, oh, I care so much about Gaia because of all the diversity of all the little creatures and this and that. I care so much. I care about life, right? I care about life, and we're destroying it, right? Because you just believe. You believe that Gaia is life. That Gaia is life somehow, and that there's other planets out there, but not all of them are Gaias. Maybe there were Gaias once, but then they just died, and they're barren now, and there's no life on them. Wow, what a shame. What a shame that you have fallen to this deceit, this deceiving worm that just trolleth your mind. Because truly it's splitting you. It split you. And you have aligned with your boast. So you align with this because this boasts you and saying, I have power, because you call this knowledge. And you call knowledge is power. Power for what? To claim authority in all life, over all life. Because who knew by boasting this, right? As your boast, by believing this and boasting in it, this is your pedestal, okay? This is your platform of existence, okay? This is how you explain why things are as they are. And no wonders it's just bashhood because you believe in bashhood. Just because you can see things in the living right now and study them and then say, well, yeah, believe our tree. Believe our history of evolution of life. Who knew that's death? Who knew the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? Is what's killing you. Because to you, this is knowledge, but who knew that it's, guess what? Image worship. Image worship. Because who knew that you see life, the life that is brought forth relentlessly, and you can give it names and this and this. But in order to sell the story of it, you need images for your counterfeit. Because otherwise, any bash story that isn't the truth is laughable. It is laughable. So you need relentless of references and diagrams and names to hide behind, so that it appears as complicated as you see it in the living. The images have to be as complicated as the diversity of the life that you look outside and see it with your own eyes. But no, it has to be the bash wordsmithery and the bash imagery of what it is. But no, you don't see. You do not see. You reject the perfection of the masterpiece of the creation of what you call life. You reject the diversity and the intricacies of relationships and functions and agility of all living creatures and all living things. All because you say, oh, of course, because it's easily described by this, guys. It's easily described by evolution. Don't you know? Wow, who knew that you are bashed? You don't even know what you believe, and you don't even know why you believe it, but you just believe it because somehow it's your pedestal. It's what you stand on to boast what you are and where it is that you're doing and what bash cause you're fighting for and all this bash, 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 bash. And even if you say, no, 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 I believe in creation, well, who knew that you're still bashing? Because you just go along saying, oh, yeah, it's just about respect and this and that and tolerance. Wow, right? Because life shows you that it's just about respect and tolerance. It's not even a thing, a word. It's a word. It's a name. Respect is a name. Tolerance is a name. And you hide behind it. For clearly this is life bringing forth life relentlessly, but you deny it and say, well, it was favorable for this to shapeshift into that, and then it became favorable to shapeshift into these things, and then blah, blah, blah. Somehow, because of their diet and this, what they could eat and this and that and assimilate and all the other competitions and this and that and this and the struggle, right? It's just a struggle. It all came through about a relentless struggle, right? Then the result of evolution should be this shanked creation, a shank creation that isn't fine tuned. That should be the result of a bash accident of evolution. A shanked, semi-functional thing that is just relentlessly diseased and this and that because somehow some things survived, right? But then these other ones were just not so good, and some of them will. Who knew that somehow not all the things died. They just continued doing what they were doing, and then that, even though the other ones died, but somehow you think that those ones came back and killed the other ones, and this and that, or just died off for some other reason, got eaten by some other things. But even though they had survived like that for forever before, but somehow you say, well, no, they needed to adapt because of new introductions and new environments and this and a new predator came about, and so they had to say, no, let's adapt, let's shapeshift and turn into this. And all these things, all these assumptions and expectations. But you say, of course, because evolution is innovative. What a shame. So, what is life? Because to you, it's just some little teeny tiny thing that could turn into you. So, so what happened? Who knows? But it just happened in billions of years. Amazing. So you took billions of years to make, and apparently now you're about to destroy it all. You're about to destroy it all as you know it. And that's how bash you are, because you believe that. So you're as bad as, a volcanic eruption, right? Or some bash meteorite. You're as bad as that, apparently. Because apparently you fear that you're going to bash good 95% of all life on Earth. Who knew that that's what you're actually doing? You're killing. You're relentlessly destroying, relentlessly thieving life. The life that was created for you to live forever with the Creator. But no, it had to be some teeny, teeny, tiny little thing that made you, and somehow you're about to just kill it all. For apparently not learning your lessons and this and that and having to study history relentlessly. So hopefully you learn and this and that and this and that and this, right? Because who knew they want you to relentlessly study their history so that you will continue bashing and bloodbathing yourself in defilement and keep abusing yourself and others. All because you reject the Creator. You reject the truth. You reject that which is certain. All for a little uncertainty and friction, 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 and in and out, and in and out, and bash aspirations of betterment while you stretch and huff and puff and just get blasted. All because you can have little bash, little images that you just take comfort in. They bring some sort of pleasure to you. They're attractive, appealing. You just go that with what has appeal. And who knew that's what you worship? That which leads you away. We'll end it there.